Has your eye ever noticed a beautiful flower in a field of soybeans or a pasture? That beautiful looking flower can be a farmer's worst nightmare. Managing weeds is sometimes more important than growing the crop itself. When dealing with weeds, you need to know exactly what weed is in your field or pasture, why it is important to manage the weeds, and finally, what are the solutions to keep the weeds out of a farmer's field? A weed in a farmer's field is a formidable enemy. According to the principles of sustainable weed management in organic cropping systems, it stated on their website, which was last updated on September of 2011, that two weeds that look familiar may have very different life cycles, growth habits, and susceptibility to control tactics. A weed can pop up very quickly, so it is important that a farmer knows exactly what kind of weed it is, because if the weed isn't treated properly, it can spread in no time, where it affects not only just one crop, but several. If a farmer is uncertain about the weed that is in his field, he could ask his extension agent or use a field manual to help him identify the particular weed that is affecting the growth of his crop. Mark Schonbek from the Principles of Sustainable Weed Management in Organic Cropping Systems stated that a farmer needs to learn each major weed's life cycle, growth habit, seasonal pattern of development and flowering, modes of reproduction and dispersal, and the impacts on the crop production. The more that a farmer knows about the weed in his field, the more he can precisely design effective strategies to help him prohibit the weed from spreading. Knowing the weed that is located in your field or pasture is very vital. However, it is crucial that you understand why it is important to manage the weeds in your field. A weed can be appealing to the eye, however, a weed can cause a lot of problems. An agricultural weed can decrease the crop yields and can be very costly to treat the weeds. A weed steals the attention that a crop needs in order to be a successful crop for the farmer. In order to produce a fulfilling crop, it needs a large amount of sunlight, nutrients, moisture, and space. A weed is very dominating if left untamed, as it will literally grow over the crop where the living crop will receive no sunlight. Weeds release a natural substance that inhibits the crop growth, which can become an issue for the farmer. According to the principles of sustainable weed management in organic cropping systems, a weed physically hinders or smothers the crop. The Weed Management on Organic Farms website, which was last updated in 2008, stated that fields that host pests or pathogens may attack the crops. Ranging in size, pests can damage a crop by walking on it or simply using it as a food source. All of these are significant issues that a crop faces as the weed is competing for these different key factors. It is very beneficial to understand why you need to manage the weeds in a field, as it may cause many headaches for the farmer and the crop itself. This is very vital to understand, but also to know what are the solutions to keep the weeds out of a farmer's field. Weeds may seem very dominating, however, there are solutions to keeping the weeds out of a farmer's field. Farmers use a mixed cropping system and long rotations to help enhance the soil fertility. A weed can become adapted to the surrounding field, so it is a good idea to change what field you plant your crop in each season. The Weed Management on Organic Farms website last said that when the same crops are planted and the same practices are used year after year, the population of certain weeds can explode. Another solution that the Organic Weed Management website last updated in 2015 said that the crop vigor is the first line of defense against weeds. Intercropping can also be a solution to managing weeds. Intercropping is when two crops are grown at the same time, which is very beneficial to suppressing the weeds. Having a narrow spacing provides the best competition with weeds, as there is no room for the weed to interfere with the crop. Finally, knocking out the weeds at the right time is critical. The Organic Crop Production, updated in 2013, stated that the most ideal times to knock out weeds is when the crop is planted, when flushes of the weed seedlings are just emerging. Next time that you see a unique spark of color in a farmer's field, ask yourself, is that a flower or is that a weed? When a farmer manages weeds, it is important that he knows exactly what weed is in his field, why it is important to manage the weeds, and what are some solutions to controlling the weeds in a farmer's field. It is important to know the exact weed that is in his field, as some may look identical but are treated completely different. A weed is very dominating as it steals the sunlight, nutrients, moisture, and space from the crop that is trying to grow. Although the weeds may seem dominating, there are many solutions to prevent them. To the ordinary human eye, a weed may look appealing. However, it is quite unpleasant to the farmer's eye.